Welcome to the Wealth Dialogue. I'm Emily.
And I'm Jack.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to take that stack of sources you gave us and, well, distill the core insights into something you could actually use. And today, we are doing a deep dive into a topic that it touches almost everyone, but we rarely talk about it with real clarity. I'm talking about the quiet ruin of credit card debt. We all know it doesn't just arrive with a bang, right? It's quiet. It happens gradually, almost politely. That one convenient swipe becomes this creeping balance, and that balance turns into this deep-seated stress. And before you know it, your financial future and, maybe more importantly, your peace of mind they're gone. So we've gone through all the sources you sent. They detail the entire life cycle of this problem. Our mission today is pretty clear. We're going to analyze how this subtle financial pressure builds up, look at the true invisible costs, and then most crucially, pull out a powerful, clear 6-point action plan sourced directly from that material to help you break free.
That's the key right there, the scope. We're not here to just, lecture on financial basics. We're actually examining the structure of the trap itself, from that first seemingly innocent swipe to the structural mechanics that are really designed to keep you paying forever. Understanding how this system works and why it fails so many people, that is the essential first step to getting back in control.
Okay, let's unpack that then. If the end result is so ruinous, we have to start at the beginning. I mean, how does this cycle even start when nobody sets out to ruin their finances?
Well, that's what's so insidious about it. It almost always begins with, believe it or not, responsibility. Not recklessness. The sources are really clear on this. The first few uses are often just convenience or a genuine need. Covering an unexpected medical bill or a broken down car.
Right, things you can't ignore.
Exactly. Or just bridging that gap between paychecks for essentials, groceries, gas. People aren't trying to buy a yacht here. They're just trying to manage, a temporary problem.
And that convenience, that temporary solution, that's what you're calling the trap. It's that exact psychological moment where you tell yourself, okay, this is just a one-time thing. I'll pay it all off next month.
That is the polite, quiet beginning of the entire problem. And that promise fails consistently for two very structural reasons. First, the sources point out life just keeps happening. You might have every intention of catching up next month, but then, the car needs new tires or the washing machine floods. Something always comes up.
So your resources are just constantly being diverted somewhere else.
Constantly. And second, and this is the financial anchor that weighs that whole promise down.
Okay.
The interest keeps compounding. Daily.
Daily, not monthly.
Daily. That exponential growth makes the original plan, the idea that you'll just catch up later, it makes it almost impossible unless you suddenly get a huge lump sum of cash.
Wow. So that subtle start is really the beginning of a years-long journey, just because the interest is always there, waiting.
It's always what.
That takes us right to the invisible killer then, the interest itself. It really does feel invisible to most of us. We hear the term APR thrown around, but I don't think most people really grasp what it means for their wallet day to day.
Right, and this is where we have to quantify the damage, because the mechanics are, well, they're brutal. APR is the annual percentage rate. So when you see a high rate, say 22%, which is incredibly common right now, that's the price you are paying just for the privilege of borrowing that money.
Okay, so break that down. Let's use a real number.
Okay, let's take an example from the source material. Say you have a $5,000 balance on a card. The APR is 22%. You are paying over $1,100 a year. That's more than $90 every single month, just in interest.
$90, that does nothing.
It does absolutely nothing to reduce your principal. It doesn't buy you anything. It is purely the cost of maintaining your financial existence.
That's a staggering amount of money just to tread water. But what really anchors people in this cycle you mentioned is the minimum payment. Most people think, okay, I'm paying the minimum, I'm doing the responsible thing. But the balance barely moves. So what's actually happening?
The minimum payment is, frankly, the masterstroke of the system.
The masterstroke.
Oh, yeah. It is expertly engineered not to help you escape, but to ensure their long-term profitability. Typically, the formula is something really low, like 2% of your total balance, or maybe $25, whichever is greater.
So it feels manageable.
Exactly. Feels like you're making progress. But if we go back to our $5,000 example at 22% APR, your minimum payment might only be $100.
Okay.
But we just said $90 of that is immediately eaten by interest.
So only $10 is actually paying off the debt.
$10. So if you only pay the minimum on that $5,000 balance, the sources calculate it will take you over 20 years to pay it off.
20 years. To pay off $5,000. That is just a jarring thought.
It is. And over those 20 years, you will have paid 3, maybe 4 times the original amount in interest alone.
Wow.
And that's the structural trap. You're doing what they ask, you're fulfilling your monthly obligation, doing the right thing,
Yeah.
but your progress is basically zero. And that's the realization that breaks the illusion. The sources call it the wake-up moment. It's when you finally look and realize you've paid thousands, but the principal is still there, staring back at you.
Like you're on a treadmill, just running and running and getting nowhere.
Exactly. The effort is enormous, but the finish line just keeps moving further away.
And once you see those numbers, it's so easy to just shut down. Which brings us to the hidden cost of all this. It's so much more corrosive than just the numbers, isn't it? This is a profound emotional and mental toll.
Oh, absolutely. The emotional fallout is, it's anxiety, it's shame, and probably most damaging, it's avoidance. Yeah, just think about how many people stop opening their banking apps, or they won't answer calls from unknown numbers. That avoidance is a kind of financial paralysis. You just refuse to face the future because the future feels financially impossible.
And that stress, it doesn't just stay in your head, it leaks out.
It leaks into every single part of your daily life. It destroys your sleep. It creates huge friction in relationships, especially if one partner is carrying most of the burden. And it just crushes your professional confidence. It forces people into this state of living paycheck to paycheck, even if, on paper, they have a pretty decent income.
And this whole cycle is often made worse by another factor the sources brought up: lifestyle inflation. It's like the debt balance has a twin that grows right alongside it.
Absolutely. It's a natural response. When your income goes up, or even when you just get a higher credit limit, your spending tends to increase. Subtly, of course. Credit cards make spending on non-essentials feel totally harmless in the moment. You know, dining out a few more times, getting the latest phone, taking a weekend trip you didn't quite budget for.
But wait, I hear people talk about using credit cards for travel points, for rewards. They frame it like it's a savvy financial tool. Doesn't that convenience or the promise of some reward offset the interest for the average person?
That is a critical distinction to make. Credit cards are a fantastic tool for people who pay the balance in full. Every single month.
Ah.
The moment you carry a balance, that 22% APR just completely obliterates any reward points you might have earned. It's not even close. The sources are clear that for most people, lifestyle inflation is really driven by emotional spending. You're buying things to reward yourself for working hard, or you're just trying to keep up appearances.
So you're trying to buy your way out of the stress.
You're trying to buy some emotional comfort, yeah. But it just sends you a bill later, compounded by that crazy high interest rate, and it leads you right back into the cycle of anxiety you were trying to escape in the first place. It's a truly vicious loop.
Okay, this is flooring me. So we've diagnosed the problem, we've analyzed the mechanics, we've seen the quiet emotional ruin. Let's pivot completely. For anyone listening right now who feels trapped in this exact cycle, we need clear, actionable steps directly from the source material. We need a way out.
Okay. The path out is built on 2 things. Clarity and consistency. It's not actually complex, but it does require courage. The sources lay out 6 essential steps to break free. And the first one is completely non-negotiable. Number 1, stop using the card immediately.
Just stop, cold turkey.
Cold turkey. You have to plug the leak in the boat before you can start bailing out the water. Put the card in a drawer, freeze it in a block of ice. Some people even cut it up. No exceptions. Every single new swipe just undoes all your hard work.
Okay, so that handles the input problem. What's the next step to get that clarity you mentioned?
Second, you have to list everything. Every card, every balance, and every single interest rate. This is often the hardest step emotionally. Because facing that total number, it can cause some real temporary fear.
Yeah.
But you cannot fight an enemy you haven't fully seen. You need it all on one sheet of paper, the complete picture.
Okay, so you have the list, you're not using the cards anymore. What's next?
Third, you commit to paying more than the minimum. Always. Always. Even if you can only manage an extra $50 or $100, that additional amount goes almost entirely to reducing the principal because the minimum payment already took care of the interest for the month. This one small change fundamentally shifts the math in your favor immediately.
That's simple, but it feels really powerful. So once you've got the list and you're paying extra, where do you aim first?
Fourth, you attack the highest interest card first. This is mathematically the most efficient way to do it. It's known as the debt avalanche method. You look at your list, find the card with the highest APR, because that's the one that's costing you the most money every single day. You keep making minimum payments on all the others, but you funnel every single extra dollar you have into killing that most expensive debt.
Right, that's prioritizing efficiency. I know a lot of people talk about the debt snowball method, paying off the smallest balance first to get that psychological win. What does the source material say about choosing between, the emotional win and the mathematical win?
And that's the core tension, right? The sources acknowledge the snowball method. That psychological win can be really useful for some people who need that immediate momentum. But they strongly recommend the avalanche method for its efficiency. When you are fighting a 22% interest rate, every month you delay paying that off means you're just giving away money.
So use the small win of paying extra each month to build confidence.
Exactly. And use the avalanche strategy to save the most money possible in the long run.
Okay, what's step 5?
Fifth, call your card issuer and ask for a lower rate. This works way more often than people think, especially if you have a history of on-time payments. Even if they were just the minimums, you just tell them, look, I'm serious about paying this down, I'm exploring my options, and I'm hoping you can offer a rate reduction to help me accelerate my repayment. It's a 5-minute call that can shave 5 or 6 points off your APR. Get to save you thousands.
That's a great tip. Okay, and the final one.
And finally, sixth, redirect small, routine lifestyle expenses into those debt payments. Look for that autopilot spending. The daily $5 coffee, the 3 streaming subscriptions you don't really watch, the frequent takeout. Find $100 a month in that kind of non-essential spending and commit it to your highest interest debt. That small, consistent input is what wins the long game.
So when you put it all together, the philosophy here is that consistency just completely beats intensity. You don't need some massive lottery win to get out of this. You just need a consistent plan of attack.
To show you just how powerful this is, let's go back to that example of Lisa from the source material.
Right.
Lisa had $29,000 in credit card debt. It was spread across 5 cards. And she wasn't a frivolous spender. This was years of surviving layoffs and unexpected medical bills. She was just drowning in anxiety, making minimum payments, watching the balances never move.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Absolutely. So once she committed to these 6 steps, she stopped using the cards, she faced the numbers, and she focused every redirected dollar onto her highest card, which was at 24%. She paid off her first card, which was about $3,000, in 4 months.
4 months. To pay off a balance she'd probably been carrying for years. I mean, the emotional relief from that must have been huge.
It was transformative. It created what they call financial momentum, that feeling of actually eliminating a debt completely, and then taking the money she was paying to that card and rolling it onto the next one. It totally changed her behavior. She went from feeling hopeless to feeling in control. She realized the system was actually beatable. And that psychological shift is what fueled her to pay off the rest, the remaining $26,000 over the next 3 years.
If this deep dive has resonated with you, if you recognize that creeping stress or the costs we've been talking about, please know you are absolutely not alone. This is a common, insidious problem. Credit card debt starts quietly, subtly, but you do not have to remain trapped in that cycle.
And this conversation matters so much because understanding the cold, hard mechanics of interest and the reality of that emotional toll, that is the first necessary step. It has to be. When you can remove the shame and just embrace the clarity of a focused plan, you start to reclaim power over your own financial future.
Absolutely. So we'll leave you with one final provocative thought based on this analysis. Look at your own finances and identify just one small, non-essential lifestyle expense. A recurring subscription you don't really use, a habit of buying lunch every day. What is that one thing you can redirect, starting today, to create that initial momentum, knowing that consistency is the key to paying off that first balance and to changing your financial behavior for good? Find that dollar and commit it to the debt. That is where the freedom begins.